Hey guys, Micah here. I wanted to talk about our new auto price V2. This is a very in-depth auto pricer that we've now developed. Fully custom step orders, fully custom enabling and disabling of features, as well as price ranges, range selection to pick what price range to use. So if we have a price range of 5, and then we have 5 and over, then whatever we pick here will go there. We can also determine this as singles and sealed per platform with set filters above that, and then the game. So the hierarchy is game, set, platform, singles and sealed per platform, determining price ranges, and then the price rules within that specific price range. So let's start and talk about how to make a rule. I'm going to type in Flesh and Blood here just to select a game. All you do is click the game. You can now edit that because you are now editing this specific game. In my case, we're going to pretend I type Magic the Gathering and I'm going to edit the Magic the Gathering game. So after you create the game, you can then filter to which specific set you want to affect. So I can add a set group and I can do anything revised. We can do unlimited. We can do the dark, legends. Let's see, anything you want to pick, and you can name that group old cards. Right. Then anything you set up in this rule will be different from this rule. There's copy platforms, so I could copy all this platform, and then I can paste that platform into these, and that will take all of those rules that I have in this specific set, and then I can modify those. In my case, I just want to do all sets, so we're going to delete the set filter. Now we have the platform that we want to update. So every set that you select up here, you can determine what platform that you use and what prices you give per platform. You can turn each platform on and off. So say I want to sell on Shopify and I want to have it have a custom price, or say I want to do eBay and have it have a custom price different from my internal pricing rules. Internal will update everything else that is not another platform that's enabled. So if I have internal here, it'll use this for my point of sale pricing, my buy list pricing, my Shopify pricing, Manipool pricing, unless I have Manipool turned on and I have different rules within Manipool. So in my case, let's set up an eBay rule. We turned eBay on. Maybe I don't want to reprice sealed. So all I go through, I hit sealed and I turn this off. Sealed items will not auto price in this case. Then we go to singles. We're going to update the singles tab. Within singles, you have the range selection. So if you hover over all these little question marks, they give you a little rundown of how it all works. If you pick the marketplace mode, so this will follow the order that you select them here. So in this case, we've got TCG player. Then we can select card trader USD market. Then we can do card trader Europe market. And then we could pick Manipool as a fourth market, or you could change this to card market, which is the Europe version of TCG player, in my opinion. It's the big one over there. TCG player is the big one over here. Or Manipool, and it will determine the price points available. You can scroll down a little bit here and you can see all the price points available for each source. However, it only shows you the ones that are enabled for that specific platform. So from there, you can use the highest, lowest, average, or just follow the order. So if we pick use highest, it'll use the highest out of this price point and this price point that it selects. So how do you select a price point for the marketplace? You've got primary, fallback, final, and doomsday, same way that you have your marketplace selection, but now you can determine this per platform. So we want to pick market price, and then low price, mid price, direct low price. Those are the orders that I want to follow. And then I want to pick the highest out of primary and fallback. So if low is higher than market, I want to use that price. And we could give it an offset, 5% higher, 10% higher, 5% lower, whatever you want here per price point. And you can do the same thing on card traders. So you've got the low price and the primary price. We can pick the highest between the two. And then from what it picks here, it'll determine is card trader higher than TCG player if you have use highest on, and it'll pick that price out of these two. It does not include the last two price points, only the first two in the use highest and lowest functions. You've got the use lowest, which picks the lowest. You've got use average, which averages the two totals and picks the price right between them. Following just goes in the order. So once it's determined the price that it's going to use within your range, it's going to pick the range of rules that you've selected. So let's pretend we've got a card that has been determined by this point up here as a $10 card. That would pick this range and whatever rules we set up within this range. So what do you do within the range? That's where the fun part begins. You can enable and disable every one of these features, and they are entirely modular. So if I ever need to add a new feature, it's very simple to add a new price point or a new modifier or anything like that, because it doesn't affect anyone other than people who enable it. So here, say we want to add rarity baselines, and we want these to be different from our internal baselines. We want eBase to be, since we're in the $5 to $10 range, maybe we want that baseline for commons to never go below $6 or something, because it's within this range. If we wanted in this one, we could, in this $0 to $5 price range, we could enable baselines as well. And we can set the common to 50 cents. And then turn on per printing baselines. So this would let us do foil and normals unique. So the foil common could be 75 cents and the normal could be 50 cents. However, I don't want to do that, so we'll leave that off. And let's explain how skip rounding when baseline is applied. So rounding happens at whatever point you apply it to, usually at the end. But in our case, the per item floor, which happens on the item itself. So if I was to view this here and I set a price floor, our item, when repriced, will never go below this floor. You can set an override price, which forces the price to be injected at any point in time. So if you want your price override to be injected right at the beginning and then do all your other modifiers after it, you can, or you can make it inject your price override right at the end. And then it will override whatever's selected and whatever reprices, and it'll just use that price instead. So the reason I did it that way, what if maybe you wanted to do a 15% increase, but you didn't want it to just always have a forced price override? So in this case, you give a platform modifier, which is now here, and we can add that platform modifier at the end of everything. We then go edit the platform modifier to be 15%, because eBay, their fee is around 15%. This will make everything have a 15% increase right here at step 10. Age-based pricing. In this case, say you have a specific item in inventory. So if we look here, we've got this item that was created 9/18. Looks like a lot of these are created 9/18. Yeah, all of these were created 9/18, which what we can do, these items specifically, they can get a age-based discount. So let's pretend that I want to discount my items at 30 days. All you have to do, you make a range, start it at 30 days, and then however long you want that discount to go for. Say 60 days. So anything between 30 and 60 days old, I want to make it 5% off. Let's make another range, 61 days to 90 days. Maybe let's give it 10% off. And you can do that for as many different day ranges that you like. New release pricing. So let me go through all of these. New release pricing. You can do the same thing as age-based pricing, except days after release until, let's say, 14 days. 2 weeks after release, you want it to have a 10% premium. You can do that. You could do 7 days and then add another range from 8 to 14 days and have it have a, 5% premium. You can do that. We're going to add a pre-release modifier where it's stuff that happens before release. I just haven't had time to add that one yet. Now, fixed offset. So say we want it to be $1 over, we just want it to increase $1 at whatever point. We can put that where it's right here. Then our price point modifier happens, or you can make your fixed offset be at the end. Some people like doing quote unquote free shipping at the end of everything. On eBay, you could just give it a fixed offset of $1.99. And then you can say free shipping on eBay, but all it does is it adds $1.99 to that specific item at the end. or wherever you put it. You could put it right before the rounding. You could put it after rounding. You can do the same thing with a percentage offset. Same thing, offsets field, you could give it a 10% increase. And then we could maybe not use the fixed offset or have both. And then have a percentage offset apply after the item floor. And then a fixed offset apply after that. They're both separate placing that you can put it at. Let's turn both of those off. Temporary fixed offset. So this is the same thing, but it's time-based. So we'll add one. We'll call it flash sale, right? I want it to give a $2 discount on everything within this price range. Don't forget that part. And I want it to expire Saturday at noon. So this will expire at noon. This is my time, and this is just UTC time. I'm probably going to merge that somehow in the future. But right now, it expires at noon at 12:13, or on 12:13. You can add another one. And as soon as this hits, all it does is it deletes itself and it doesn't apply anymore. Same thing, percentage offsets. You got time-based percentage offsets, same thing. Just a percentage instead of a fixed offset. Platform modifier is a percentage increase. Max price movement. So this will prevent wild swings, like say a card spikes. Usually you want to follow that. So maybe you want your max increase to be 1,000%. But you don't really ever want it to just plummet. So maybe every reprice, you don't want it to drop more than 5%. So with this case, if it's $15, it won't decrease past 5% below that $15. Say it drops to 10. 5% under 15 is as far as it'll go until the next reprice happens, until it hits 10. So that's max price movement. Rarity baselines we discussed. Force to price. So this was built for direct users. So what happens was anything within this range, if it hits this range, it'll force it to a specific price. That's because some users have told me that indirect, anything $20 to $24 is losing money. You always want to be outside of that range. So say, let's make this specific area here $20 to $21, right? So all we got to do, if it hits this price range, we're going to force it to a price of $19.99. And that will force it to that price, anything that hits that range. You could do the same thing again. You could go 2101 to 22. And then it will force the price to $19.99 as well. Or you could make it go up to 24. And it will stay there. Do not escape. So that is basically just something you enable. So say all of your price rules happen for this range, right? $0 to $5. If you enable do not escape, that will not allow it to escape your range. So say it pushes it up past $5. This will force it back to $4.99. So that was also a thought for maybe this range, $5 to $19.99 for direct sellers. You don't ever want it to push outside of that $19.99 range. So this will cap it there and it can't go above it. And the last one, cost-based floor. So this applies to the per item floor, which a per item floor, you type in $2. If auto pricing ever goes above that $2, it will swing up to that market price. If it ever goes down below the $2, it will never go below $2 specifically. Say market price is now $1. This one, since you have it set to $2, it will force it to stay at $2. This cost-based item floor is just a expansion of that. So you can set it a percentage above cost. So if you have your cost on your item, you want to always make a margin of 30%. Then you set that right here. You put it, you make your rounding for this specific range to be 99 cents. And if it's for sealed, in this case, it's not. But if we were building this roll for sealed, rounding to 99 cents per item floor is 30% over cost. That gives you an MSRP. And it will never go below that MSRP. If it ever slides up past that per item floor of 30% over cost, it will swing up to that price. Printing modifiers for foil, maybe you can give them a 10% premium. Normal, maybe you don't want foil cards in your inventory at all, so you do 5% below. Then you've also got, what was it? rarity modifier, so you can increase commons by 10%, mythics maybe 50%. And then condition modifiers basically is based off of the near mint price. So say you have light play, then it's 10% off. Moderate play, it's 80% off. And that is everything. As for building one, let me show you how to test it and make sure that it's all working. In this case, I turned everything on. I'm going to go up here, I'm going to hit test pricing, and I'm going to search for a card. So let's do a Lithid. I was doing this one earlier. Lithid Harvester. We've got the price points that are available for the item. And then we've got them for both the normal and foil. You can set up a mock price for the override, price floor, or current price in inventory and test it with the backend to see what exactly it would do to affect that price. And then what you can do is you can go down here. You can see every point available. And then below that, every step that happens in the, for example, $5 price range. What we can do is we can copy singles. We'll go here. We might have to. Yeah, so let's do this. We'll delete these. We'll copy this one. And then we'll delete this one. Delete this one. And let's set this one 0 to $20. Sure. Oops. I saved that over my rules. From there, you go up. We'll test it. I'll do that same card. And now we've got rounding set to 99 cents. I don't have my baselines applied, but it's going to show us every step that it followed. This will show us we applied a printing modifier. For normal, we took 5% off. Foil, we increased it by 3%. Age modifier, there's nothing matching the roll in my window. Price override, I don't have one on. And it just shows you every step that was applied to the card specifically. So it was at 21 cents, then our rounding at the end rounded it up to 99 cents. Which if we had baselines on and it hit a baseline, it would not do this rounding and it would stay at that 21 cents. Then we've got the do not escape enabled. So if it's in this range, it will not escape from that range. And that's pretty good coverage of the V2 price tool. If you want to change stuff around, just drag it down here, build it how you want, and build your pricing to the best of your ability and exactly how you want it. Thanks for watching.